let's give this yet another try. Tonight I'm streaming the tower I'm building for Battyrella. It will be a Gothic tower, hopefully, tiered with, I don't remember how many levels we decided on. I have that all written down, but it should be rather interesting because I've never done anything like this before, and I have a soft spot for towers since a tower was the second project I did with the layout editor. It taught me a lot about the editor, and it was so much fun to do that I'm glad I get another chance to work on a tower. So right now I'm being really distracted and not crafting properly, but I'm working on creating some items so that I have something to work with once I get to the zone. These types of projects are some of my favorites, where I'm given an empty zone to work with and I can just build whatever I come up with. Yeah, I have a lot of people on my trustee list, so I always have to use the filter. Let's see. Now, one thing I'm going to do is, well, I actually should figure out how many floors I want for this. So we want a first floor, a second floor, third floor, fourth floor. So a minimum of 4 floors, maybe a 5th floor. 6 floors. Because I'm doing it tiered, I want a minimum of 12 units for the first floor. I really should have done this planning before I started, but I didn't think ahead, so now I'm having to do it on the fly. What I'm thinking of doing is each window of the tower, I want it to be 2 units wide. That'll be the same width as the doors. Actually, technically, oh yeah, that's how I want to do it. No, I take it back. So what I want to do is I want to build a tower. Let me set some things out so you can sort of see what I'm talking about. Alright, let's pretend that this is the floor of the tower right here. And this is one wall of the tower because, as you know, we can't make perfectly round towers in EQ2. They're actually some sort of polygon. So what I would like to do is, when I have the windows, I want one window here. We talked about having narrower windows for Battyrella's home. So what I want to do is I want to set it up so that each wall has 2 windows that are sort of narrow like this, 1 unit across. A minimum of this many windows. So the top floor will have to be, if each of these is 2 units, this is 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. So the top floor will be 8 units tall, or 8 units wide, and let's see, I should probably write that down so that I don't completely lose track of it. Here it is. Alright, so So this, we're going to say house plans. And here we're going to say 8 units per side for the top floor. 2 window minimum. Walls set to scale 2. Alright, that probably makes no sense to you guys, but it makes sense to me. What that basically means is I want each side of the floor to be 8 units across. I want, as I said, a 2 window minimum. And in order to achieve that, because I'm using the narrow dividers, if I set them to scale 2, they will be a width of 2 as well. So that's 2, 4, 6 plus the 1 unit each windows, which is 7 and 8. And I think, so that's 8 units for the top floor. If we want to add 1 more window, so let's see, that's floor, that's top. So I think we said that was the belfry. I don't want it to be that large, so entryway is 1, guest room is 2, study is 3, master bedroom is 4, sitting room is 5. Okay, so a 6-floor tower, but only 5 rooms that are, so this would be room 5, this would be 4, and thank you Google, but I did not actually want. Alright, we're going to call this 1 then, and we'll call this 2. So we add 2 units for the extra wall and 1 unit for the window, so that's an extra 3 units. So that's 11 units. And add another 3 is 14 units. And another 3 is 17 units. And another 3 is 20 units. Okay, so the bottom floor, we're looking at 20 units for the length of one side. Unfortunately, that means a scale 10 tile, which does not exist. Not with normal crafted tiles. So I'm going to have to double them up. This is going to be interesting. Alright, so I'm going to have to do it by hand instead of using the layout editor to just build a circle, because that's not going to work. Alright, so what I do need to know is we're going to do a regular polygon with, so we know side A. So yeah, that's what we want. And we don't want a pentagon. I'd like to use a decagon because that's what a round tile in EQ2 is. So then we match the round tiles, and if we want to use them for anything on the floor, that will be a nice look. Well, unless I want to go, yeah, I want to go with the decagon. Okay, so A is 20 units. Calculate. So this is all of the information I need. For the tower. So we're going to start with we're going to start with putting all of the items into the house. That's probably a really good place to start. Here goes the usual placing items. That's the first set. Now here's the tiles. This is not going to be anywhere near enough items to do this, but I just wanted enough down to really get working on the project. It's a good thing I used so many tiles because this is going to take a while. Okay. Oops. What is this? Why do I have a sumac doll there? Must have accidentally made one. Alright. If any devs ever see this, you will now see why so many decorators wish there were a deposit into moving crate button. Why is it so laggy? It should not be lagging like this. This is pretty horrible and it's just getting worse. Alright, this might mean an early end to the tower building tonight if the lag doesn't let up. Okay, there we go. So since we're just starting, we can do /packhouse space, packhouse space 1. And that packs everything in the moving crate. Now, this tower will actually wind up floating out off to the east, but right now, since I'm just starting on it, I want to build it on solid ground. So we're going to start right here. That's my location. We're going to, let me write this down before I forget. Center at, I can spell center really, -38, 390.75, 0.74, and 128. Alright, that's a good center. Now, based on the calculations from the website, I need a refresher. Here's what I'm looking at. I need to know the in radius, because that will tell me how far from the center of the tower to put my tiles. Only we don't want to put it all the way at 30.77768. Actually, I prefer 8 significant figures because that's what the layout editor uses, I believe. So let's calculate this again. No. We're just going to go with 9. I like more information rather than less. Okay, so I'm going to replace all this information here, and I can't get rid of that. Okay, so we know that this is the in radius, However, because a tile's location is not at its edge, it's at its center, we actually want to subtract 12 from this. No, I lied. We only want to subtract 6 from it because the distance from the center to the edge of a scale 6 tile is 6. So, we're going to copy that. But really, we only want the decimal because it's really going to be 24.6 whatever. Oh, I have to go into the layout editor, hit width, just so I have everything in there. File, open, width. Alright, so now we're going to sort through the moving crate for one of the tiles. There's one. Zeph just asked how I got the layout editor in-game, and I actually don't have it in-game. I'm running a dual monitor, actually a triple monitor setup, and I have the layout editor on one monitor and the game on another monitor, and a whole bunch of other information that you don't care about on the third monitor. And it's the streaming program itself that pops open and close the layout editor like it shows up on the stream. So I'm actually just turning my head and moving my mouse a little bit. Before I had the dual triple monitor setup, I would play the game in windowed mode and then just switch using the start bar. So, the taskbar, sorry. So that's, yeah, that's that. Oops. So back to creating the group here. I have to create the group, not add it. Yeah, that would be an awesome add-on to be able to have it minimized like that and then just click it. I'm sure that there's some Windows program that would do it, but I'm also sure that whatever program would do that would also take up a zillion resources you did not want to use. So, we'll create the group now that we've discussed how awesome it would be to have the editor in-game, despite it not ever going to happen. Alright, so we want to set the scale to 6, and we want to set the original location, let me find my original location for the center, at -38, 390.74. Oops, that's a 5, not a 4. And 128. So we'll save this just so that we can load it in game and see that we're standing right on top of it. And then we're going to, since we decided, we said 20 units. So it's not a scale 6, it's a scale 5, because that means at scale 5 each tile is 10 units long, and if I'm going to double it up, that puts me at 20 units. Okay, so that's scale 5. And we want to duplicate that. We want to move this one 5 units to the east, and this 5 units to the west. Save, so now they should be right next to each other like that. And just because I like working in the north direction first, we're going to say paste this here, and we actually need to subtract 5 from that, so that'll be 25. I'll say after that we're going to move it to the north. Oops. I needed to move both of them to the north. Okay, so Load it, and there's our first wall. And yes, towers are very, very math intensive if you want them to turn out exact. If you don't care as much about them being exact, you can just approximate the location, but I'm OCD enough to want things to be exact. So duplicate, sort by note, and now we want to group mod around the center location, which was, shoot, I forgot again. This is why I write things down. -38. And the Y location was 128. The angle based on this is 36 degrees. So we will say 36. And we will watch it rotate in a negative direction because that's how the layout editor works when you have a positive angle to rotate. And there's our second part of the tower. So we'll call this 2. We will duplicate number 2. We will group mod again, and it saves the numbers, so since it's rotating around the same point, we'll just click rotate again, save group, load it. I think I might have been a little overly ambitious with the size of this tower, but let's just go with it and see what happens, because it should be interesting to see what happens with this. As an entryway, this is rather gigantic. So, I mean, she could host an entire museum on this floor alone. So, just over and over again, doing the same thing. Halfway there. So what I could actually do now, since I have half of it, is duplicate everything. And rotate 180 around the center point. And if I did everything right, there we go. That's a really big tower floor. I can't decide whether I like it this large or whether... No, I think I'm going to have to make it smaller because she was already saying the original tower I did, which had floors of only 12 units across, was really roomy. So yeah, this is not going to work. All that math, and I made it a little bit too large. Alright, so that's what decorating's all about, is suddenly realizing that everything you did stinks and you need to start over. At least I only started with the floor, so let's pull up my planning stuff here again. And let's change. So we had 5 floors. Instead of 8 units, what if we said a 1 window on the top floor? 1 window. Wall set to scale 2. And that puts me at 2 on one side, 2 on the other, so 5 units per side. And then if we add a window to that, and that'll be another 3 units, so that's 8 units. And 11, 14, okay, I'm still getting carried away here. If we set the walls to scale 1, gives us 3 units on the side. I can hit the correct numbers, really, I can. Yes, I do actually have a lot of fun with the math. It helps me keep things aligned properly for building the walls and stuff like that. And really the main reason I like to do the math is because the textures line up perfectly then. I can't stand it when the textures are just a tiny bit off. Now, if they're off enough that I know it's deliberate, that's fine, whatever. But if it's just enough that I don't, that it's not, you can't really tell if it's supposed to be or not supposed to be, it drives me insane. So, and I'm an idiot because I set the walls to scale 1 and then I went on and did the math as if it was scale 2. So it would only be 2 more, so that would be 5. That's a lot more reasonable. Okay, that I can use. That I can use that I can use the layout editor's circle tool for. Okay, so back to the polygon at 11 units. Significant figures 9. Calculate. Here's all the info again. A lot of it's the same, but some of it's different. Okay. So at 11 units, we pause as Jazz cannot do simple math. Half of 11 is 5.5. There we go. My tiles need to be scale 5.5. Alright, so let's delete this group. Tools, create object, circle or spiral. I'm going to call this floor. We do want to create a new group. We want it on the XY plane because that's the floor. Our center point is negative 38. 390.74, 128. Number of steps will be 10. Total angle will be 360. The radius is 5.5 divided by 2 is 2.5 plus 0.25 is 2.75. So this minus 2. I just need to get a calculator because I'm not going to be doing that in my head at all. Complex math, I can do. Simple math, I fail. Where's my calculator? Here's my calculator. So, divided by 2, just to make sure, because like I said, I'm bad at it, 2.75. Alright, so we're going to paste this minus 2.75. What the heck did I do? Paste that minus 2.75. That's a much better number. Alright, I'm going to copy it. And we're going to paste it under the radius. Start angle, we don't care. Z increase, we don't care. Radius increase, we don't want. Item name. Item name. That's going to be fancy. Open it tile. We need to go find the items in the moving crate so we can get the item ID. Here we go. UID, we paste there. We want to use the UID from the crate, yes. I like to roll them 0.5 so that they don't shimmer. And we're going to item scale it 5.5. Say create. And there's my new group with all of my new items. Save it, load it in game, and I did my math wrong because it was supposed to be -5 for the radius, not minus half of that, or 5.5. Okay, so we're going to go back to the layout editor, create the item, save it, and then just delete the group because all that matters is that the layout editor knows that the items are not supposed to be out in the world. I'm gonna find my file, copy this, find this, paste, -5.5, it's 11 point, okay. So tools, create object, circle or spiral. We're going to replace the radius with the new radius, and we're going to say create, save it, and load it, and there we go. Now that's perfect. And that's a more reasonable size for a first floor. At least I think so. So we can at some point get a round tile and place it in the center here to fill in the missing spot. But while we're looking at this, I actually don't like how the pattern is right now. So I'm going to go back to the layout editor and I'm going to rotate all of the tiles 90 degrees and let's see what happens. Actually, that's going to make things kind of interesting looking, but let's see. Unfortunately, let's replace the roll with 0 and replace the pitch with 0.5 and see what happens. Let's try spinning it the other way because I'm just not quite sold on this pattern here. And to do that, we want to replace the pitch with -0.5, I think, if I'm not going crazy. Save it and load it. Yeah, I like that better. Kind of gives it a flowery feel with the texture. So you can sort of see the petals here. And then there's the outline there. So yeah, I think I'll keep that. All right. Let's see. So that's the first floor. Now, our second floor, we said was going to be all right, there we go. So our second floor, we said, is going to have 9 units. So we'll calculate that. And really what we need to know here is just this. So let's copy this and paste it right here. And while we're doing that, let's copy this paste it right here, just so that I have a record of what I did. Because way too often I don't bother to do things like this, and then if I have to fix something, I'm stuck. 7. This is the total. And then 5. I use a lot more math than the average decorator, but that's my choice. You can do this kind of thing without it. It's just a little more difficult, at least in my opinion. So, okay, so that's all the information I need. So now we're going with 13 at 9 units. Half of that is 4.5, so our scale for the items will be 4.5. So let's see, tools, create object, circle or spiral. We want, oops, let's pull open our calculator first. Paste that, subtract 4.5. That's the radius that we want to use. So we'll replace that with that here, and we'll call this floor 2 because it's the second floor. And all of the other information is the same because we're not changing, oh, we do want to change the center point. We want to change the height. I usually like to make rooms between 5 and 6 units tall for a lofty Gothic home. Let's go with 6 units, I think. We'll try 6, and if it doesn't work, we can raise it. So scale will be 4.5, and the roll was 0, but the pitch was negative 0.5, and the starting rotate, I'm not sure. Let's start with 90. It might have been negative 90, but let's try 90. I can never remember which direction. And yeah, I'm doing pretty advanced stuff, so it's not a surprise that it sounds kind of, oops. Huh. Maybe I do like this one better. That's kind of pretty. Might be better for a spiky Gothic tower, huh? Instead of the leafy flower at the bottom. So let's go, and this is, yeah, I feel like this is a little low. So let's bump it up to 8. So we'll raise this 2 units. And we'll go to floor 1, and we will rotate it. Yes, the upper floor is smaller than the lower floor. The homeowner wants a tiered tower where each floor is slightly smaller than the one below it, so that it kind of narrows as it goes towards the top. So that's part of why I was having a problem figuring out how wide I wanted things to be, because I have to figure out what the top room is going to be and then work on the bottom room from there, based on that. So this, rotate, absolutely no idea. I'm going back to rotating the bottom floor. No, one more. And there we go, same spiky pattern. Spiky, flowery, whatever you want to call it. Star shape. There we go. Alright, so that's floor 2. Oh, hey, we can look at see what the pattern creates on the bottom. And it's not bad. It's not, it was my least favorite of them, but it's not bad. So, alright, let's go on to floor 3. And back to the file so I can see what this is. At 7 units, my tiles need to be 3.5. I think I'm beginning to see a pattern here. Maybe, just maybe. Where's my calculator? Subtract 3.5. Copy back here and paste my new radius. So the previous one was 398.74. We want another 8 units. So 406, unless I did something wrong, which is highly likely. Like I said, simple math and I do not get along. Floor 3, I already changed that. Okay, let's create. Load it up. This reminds me of something, only I'm not sure what it reminds me of. So, let's see, how many tiles do we still have left in here? It would help if I would scroll down to the F's for, what are these called? Fancy. 10 more. So I can do one more tower floor. Alright, let's do one more. So, Zeph thinks it looks like one of those tiered candy dishes from the 70s. I can sort of see that, but that's not quite what it was reminding me of. I don't know. Can't figure it out. Okay, so I needed the calculator again. And we're going to subtract 2.5 because, hey, there is a pattern there. Copy. And create object, circle or spiral. Paste it there. 2.5. Want this to go up another 8. And I think that's everything. Oh, floor 4. Group node working. There we go. So I'm going to need another 10 tiles to do the final floor. But since I don't feel like going to make them right now, let's start working on the walls. So I decided I wanted scale 1 for the walls. And let's pick the north wall because I like working with the north wall. Do a diff so that we have the one wall here. Sort the moving crate by name, and we're looking for a list of items that are all this, narrow divide. I could not remember which divider I created, so it's a good thing that there are a bunch of them here. Alright, so we want it, because I'm lazy, I'm just going to copy the location info, then paste it there, set the scale back to 1, and send it, oops, I don't want it pitched at all. And oh dear. Right, I forgot that because this starts, let's use the, what's it called? That thing, the circle editor. It doesn't, the north one doesn't have a round rotation. It's at 198. So we want to start with 90-degree rotation. Which one is that? That one's the west one. All right. So we're going to start with, we're going to right click, copy location info, go to diff group 1, paste location info for the narrow divider. I'm going to remove this from the group because we don't really want the northern tile in the group. Uncrate it, scale it to 1, pitch is 0, 90-degree rotate. I think that should be okay. And because the other one was 5.5 from the center, we want to send it 5.5 to the west so that it's right on the edge of the tile. Not quite what I was going for. Okay. Right, so 90, it should not be rotated at all. And there we go. It's a little bit tiny, but I'm not sure what to do about that. Because if we do it larger, I'm not sure the top floor is going to work. Let's send this 2 units to the south and see what happens. Actually, let's duplicate it. And we want to send this one 1.5 to the south, this one 1.5 to the north. That leaves us with 1 unit in between. So this we're going to duplicate again. I think that I needed to do, I needed to do 1 more unit. Another 0.5, because apparently I did not math correctly. And duplicate this one. 129. There's the new one. This is the same location as the one above it. And there's 3 units to the south. Now if we want to do this wall all the way around, duplicate it, and rotate it. It's at 36. just like that. So this is 1, 2, rotate again, 3, and we're going to have to pick some side to use as the front door, but I'll worry about that later. Also, normally I would calculate how far the wall needed to be so that this right here would be perfectly touching corner to corner. However, I'm going to be putting columns at each corner, so the weird spot right there really doesn't matter because it's not going to show. So that's a start. And I'm hungry, so that's all I'm going to do for tonight. I need to make some more items anyway and do some calculations on my own to make sure that this is actually what I want to do. So, thank you for watching, and hopefully it was informative and not horribly boring. This is my first time in a long time doing a tower, so we'll have to see how this turns out. Alright, see you next time.